is up, RotoGrinders? Dean here. 2 hours nonstop NBA DFS conversation starts right now, taking you all the way up to 7 o'clock on the East Coast. Joined today by the leader of the prop shop. It's Will. It's Chief Justice. Will, happy Friday. You are showing me up. You're dressed to the nines. You're dressed it's a Friday night. You got things to do. Family events, always something going on with you. And you late swapped in. It was I thought I was like, we haven't worked together in a while. I thought maybe Kirkwood was like, hey, I've had enough of Dean. I got to go to crunch time. But Kirkwood's going to be on during crunch time. You late swapped in. You got me for the next hour and 15 minutes or so. Will, happy Friday. Welcome.
Yeah, man. Glad to be here, brother. It's this might be one of the most interesting Friday night slates, Dean, because FanDuel and DraftKings decided to not get along at all today. So FanDuel, their last games are started at 8 o'clock, and DraftKings decided to push it all the way to the 10 o'clock games. I actually thought we might have had them sync up today, but that is not the case. And it is what it is, that just makes my night a whole lot easier. I'm going to be for sure more so on FanDuel tonight than DraftKings because my daughter has a ballet recital. So I am headed to that, and I don't want to have to be sweating 10 o'clock games. I'm just going to put some stuff in on FanDuel and call it a day.
In the chat, what's up, chat? Kindly hit that like button. Do subscribe. Turn on those notifications. Oh, should mention today, Friday, giveaway Friday. Our giveaway today, everybody gets this. Everybody gets the giveaway today. Access to the, I'm sure the official term. I guess we're going to go ahead and drop that in chat for the people in just a second. I got to find it. I'm stalling. All right, I had this open right before the show and I accidentally closed it out. Yeah, so the fantasy pick'em tool for, use it for prize picks, use it for underdog, you use it for DraftKings, the pick six as well. That is a premium tool. I'm going to go ahead and drop it in chat for the people. Feel free to have at it and use it at your own leisure. It is fully dummy proof in that you can just kind of scroll down and it'll tell you like the best chances to win, it'll sort it win percentage wise. And the best thing we have currently going right now on Prize Picks NBA is Jalen Duren scoring more than 12.5 points, a win percentage of 62.19%. So nothing crazy. That's not a huge number. It's like the best bet in the board. SGA to score 51 fantasy points as well. That is a home game for him. Not a home game, homecoming game. Going back to his home country there in Canada, taking on the Raptors. Yeah, like you said, as far as the slate today, Will, it's DK, the last couple of Fridays, they've been doing the, they lock it up at 7 o'clock and go ahead and do your thing. But I guess maybe in part the way the schedule is, it's very clearly divided into like 5 early, 3 late. And DK wanted to include those last 3. So they probably didn't want to be on the hook for a lot of terrible customer service stuff in case something goofy happens in the late games, which is certainly possible, especially this time of year. So they said, you know what? We are going to keep the late swap deal going. They're going to abandon it. And they're probably still figuring out, I guess, for next year. And I don't know what sort of information they've gathered so far. But, yeah, I like the idea of choice too. But, yeah, on FanDuel, you can get out of there at 8 o'clock or even earlier because between 7 and 8, you have an hour to figure stuff out as well because I think it's 3 at 7 or is it 2 at 7? 2 at 7, 3 at 8 o'clock as far as the East Coast. So, yeah, it's pretty easy if you actually want to be in the move, you're in the car, that kind of thing. You're waiting for the recital to start at 7:45 or something. If something goofy happens, you can get on top of it. But all right. And yes, you're welcome for the free tool, J3. J3 also wanted to know, Will, are you going to be bringing the energy today? I just assume you are. You always do. The positivity and the energy and the content as well.
Yeah, always, man. Always. I enjoy this job. I don't really call it a job though, Gene. I enjoy what I do because I don't really think about it like a job. It's something I enjoy, and I don't care if you're, cutting grass, managing portfolios. You got to love what you do, and if you love it, you'll end up with a way better life. So I'm glad to be here today and talk through some DFS with these fine, beautiful people that come to support us in the chat. And one of the ways, guys, you can thank us. Just hit that thumbs up button. We're here for you. We're here to try to help you as much as we can. That's not me begging for likes. That's just saying, hey, that's our little tip jar for thanking us for doing a nice job and hopefully helping you make a little money at the same time.
Producer Steve has dropped a poll in the chat. How many picks did you get wrong in your bracket so far? 0 to 2, 5, 6 to 8, 9+. Has there been that many upsets that 9+ is live? I don't know. I did not make the
bracket. Kentucky losing just busted mine all up. So after Kentucky lost, there was no need for me to look. I had Kentucky going all the way.
Oh, well, that's a bummer. You're just now you're done. That's it. You can't recover from that.
Well, I think I had Kentucky going all the way. It was either them or North Carolina, but either way, I was done. I missed a lot in the first round. I took South Carolina to beat Oregon. I did hit some upsets, but my bracket's all tore up.
I watched very little. I promised to not watch any, but I was on the phone. I happened to have the TV on in the background and had me playing. Was that South Carolina? They have a Husky fella playing center.
No, so that's North Carolina State.
That's who. Oh my God, I was loving that guy. He was awesome. Yeah, he was a lot of fun.
He's the new Escalade from the And1 mixtape. I don't know if you guys have listen. Okay, for those of you, here's the energy. It's about to pick up, Dean, because now you're getting me excited here. If you guys have not watched any And1 mixtapes, because most of us that are avid DFS players, D, we should all be close to the same. I would say close to the same generation. I hope. Now there's some new people that have come in, obviously, in their mid-20s, maybe stuff like that, and we want them to come in because that's how the ecosystem of DFS continues to flourish. But for those of you that may have grown up in our era, the And1 mixtape tour had a guy by the name of Escalade. If you've never seen Escalade, go look up some of his highlights. And then look at DJ Burns, and it's all over Twitter now. But like he does remind you of Escalade from the And1 mixtape tour. Anyway, Dean,
do you know who Escalade's brother is?
Don't tell me.
Very famous basketball. Played a long time in the NBA. Coached a long time in the NBA. And
I actually do know who his brother is, and that's why I'm disappointing myself because I consider myself a basketball aficionado. You're gonna have to tell me, Dean. But when you tell me, like I know who it is. Oh my gosh, what a play!
Derek is saying it's suburban. I see it. Look at the highlight.
Mark Jackson. Yes. Oh, thank you, Mark Jackson. Escalade, man. Wow.
I want to roster Escalade in DFS. Oh my God, well, listen, it's spectacular stuff.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You can't roster him in DFS, but if you can get the And1, if you can get back on your PS2, maybe PS1, they had an And1 mixtape game, and that's how you can roster.
Rafer Alston skipped to Mylou. He made the NBA.
Yeah, he's one of the more famous ones. He actually wasn't my favorite And1 mixtape tour personality. My favorite And1 mixtape tour personality was Headache. And I actually like Black Widow, who wasn't as popular as those others. But listen, Black Widow could just flat out ball, man. So I love Black Widow. Hot Sauce. So our producer Steve says Hot Sauce. He's from Atlanta. Hot Sauce was a little flashy. He came on the scene late, but yeah, Headache and Black Widow. Those are my guys. Alamo, yeah. See. All right, we got some people that watch this. Dean, how much?
Didn't they have a reality show? I'm vaguely
right.
There was like a reality show, like three guys like were on a bus and they travel around. This is a local guy that's great. This and you take them on, and like somebody is good. Somebody gets kicked off the bus. Like you can only keep 3 guys in the bus or whatever it is. And like
correct, Dean.
Yeah. Like eventually somebody got on the team.
Yeah, Professor was the first one, and Professor's still going strong. Like he's still just out here destroying people.
He's all over YouTube, I know.
Yeah.
I see him popping up.
Spider was there. He was one of the newer ones. Let's see who else. Shane was good. I like Shane. Shane could play a little bit. The main event was good. Half Man, Half Amazing was another big. It was a lot of guys. Helicopter.
Wait, hold on. Is that Vince Carter's nickname? He stole Vince Carter's nickname, or Vince Carter stole from him? Wasn't that Vince Carter Half Man, Half Amazing?
No. He's older than Vince Carter. He already had that name.
Okay.
I think Half Man, Half Amazing already had that name, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, D. All right, I think those are our shenanigans for today. But thank you guys for hanging out with us, talking a little bit of And1 mixtape tour. That's actually kind of throwback now because a lot of people, they may not have even watched the show or watched the mix. Dean, I have all the mixtapes.
Actual tapes.
No, yeah. I had the actual tape, and they became DVDs at some point. But
what do you play it on? You have a DVD player now?
No, I don't have them anymore. I'm saying back then I had them all. Volume 1,
gotcha.
2, 3, 4. I mean, man, it was incredible. It was a really good blend of street ball and hip hop at the time, because hip hop was like the overdubbed tracks on the street ball videos. It was just clips of moves. And so, Dean, what you would do is you watch these mixtapes, and you knew that you couldn't actually do these some of them you couldn't do in a real game. Yeah. But the ones that you could, you practice those in the backyard, and then when you get in the real game, you try to pull off one of these moves, man. It was real fun. So I enjoyed the N1 mixtape too. But anyway,
and it was kind of NBA All-Star defense, kind of NBA All-Star defense.
Well, yeah. I mean, kind of.
Don't let him shine.
Yeah, kind of, sort of. Mr. Gerd says he literally has no idea what we're talking about. Mr. Gerd, if you don't mind, how old are you? I really want to know this. I want to know, how old is Mr. Gerd? And that's not to embarrass you, Mr. Gerd. I'm really trying to get a pulse on, is this a cultural
thing? He's either like 60 or 20. Thing?
Right. That's what I'm saying. He's got to be like way older than us or younger than us for this to like, I'm just trying to get a pulse on it. 44.
Well, never mind. We're wrong.
Mr. Gerd, you probably should have been around. He's Mr. Gerd, you're probably right outside, but mixtape too is kind of a big thing. But either way, just go look it up, man. Just go look it up. It's some cool stuff.
All right. 8-game NBA slate.
Yeah.
Distinctly different. FanDuel, just the 5 games, leaving off the last three games that are at 10 o'clock. So we have, 2 at 7, 3 at 8, big gap, 2 hours, and then 3 games at 10. Like the games are coming in waves. It's almost like a triple header, right? Sort of 7, 8, 10. You got the Pacers and the Warriors late. You got the Clippers and the Blazers late. We got a midday downgrade for DeAndre Ayton. Blazers, what a mess. I was hoping they would be off the slate just because they're annoying. I thought the Simons thing, I thought for sure he wasn't going to play last time. They got a midday downgrade. He did play. They got walloped because that's what they do. Also, the Lakers versus Philadelphia. That's another potential blowout. Lakers, 8-9 point favorites. As far as back-to-back stuff, there's only one team in the back half of a back-to-back. New Orleans, really tough spot in Miami. Bam is back. Miami is healthier, getting healthier at least. They lost Brandon Ingram for the time being. They say several weeks. That could be a while, right? South Beach flu. I don't know if they did they get off the flight and go straight to the hotel? They having themselves a good time? Not really sure. I did bet Miami in the hopes of that was happening once I saw Bam was in too. So I feel pretty good about my Heat, although they've been kind of up and down. 4 teams in the front half of a back-to-back. The Blazers, the Spurs, the Raptors, the Celtics. The Celtics, they are playing games this time of year with their, who's in, who's out dance. Everybody's questionable. Tatum, Brown, Porzingis, Horford. Drew Holiday's out. Hauser is in. One thing we do know, the Porzingis Horford thing, it's the front half of back-to-back, so presumably one will play tonight, the other will play tomorrow, one will sit tonight, but it's, that works. We probably should just skip Boston in the analysis until we get the information, because it's just going to be a bunch of if-then stuff and really hard to predict. And they're facing also a terrible team in Detroit. You don't see this very often, Will. We have two games where the road teams are at least 14-point favorites. How often do you see that? Not very often. OKC and Toronto.
Not very often, but this is probably the right call here. Is the 2 teams that are coming into town are, on paper and in real life, Dean, much better than the teams they're going to be facing, part due to player personnel and just winning in general.
Like the Raptors team it's terrible what's left. And whatever's left of Detroit, Detroit's getting worse and worse, obviously, as they're sputtering to the finish line. They're going to be bad games. They really are. I love OKC if they can stick around. I mean, I'm going to love the Boston pieces, whoever's left, if Detroit can keep it close. We'll talk about it. Memphis is kind of a disaster. There's still some questionable stuff there with the Grizz. We'll do our best to figure that out also, because Concher, Pippen, LaRavia, midday downgrade, they're all questionable. Vince Williams, I assume, is not going to play. Is doubtful. Bane, I assume, is not going to play. He's doubtful too. And they have the 2-way guys. Goodwin, I think we're projecting him in now. We'll see. I guess there's a chance he doesn't play, but I assume he is. He still has, I think it was 9 games left where he can play, so he can play most of his games. And this is one where Bane's not playing, so it would make sense they would use this as far as one of his 9. Keeping an eye on Twitter. Should be plenty of news dropping as we progress. Big picture-wise, again, 2 distinctly different slates. I'm on DK, the optimals I'm running. Really interesting, Will. It's flat. So no player is coming in at more than 27% in the optimals I'm running, which is wild. Normally there's like one guy that just sort of breaks it. And by the way, you know what that one player is? It's a player on the Thunder, and it's Chet Holmgren. Did Gary Trent just get rolled out? Oh boy.
He should be. That's gonna start pushing some guys D for sure. What I will say is Chet Holmgren was a guy I was on heavy the other night. Boy, did he not disappoint. So that was a big play for me. But Dean, guess what? In my main team, my main single entry team, Dean, I was in first place, cruising to the finish line. So what happened? I went in to check my lineups. I said, "Oh, I'm doing pretty well tonight, right?" And I didn't. Derek says Chet went slap off 2 nights ago. Yeah, that's the night I just kept recommending Chet all night. That's not a victory lap, by the way. Like it is what it is. But Dean, I thought for sure. I said, "Oh man," I said, "This could be the night, right? This could be that big night." Dean, I was just really cruising, and I had 2 players that got ruled out during the game. One got ruled out after like his first run, from Toronto, Jonte Porter, and
he got sick. Yeah,
I know. And then I had the other guy from Detroit, Usume or whatever. He got ruled out.
He's done for the year now.
Yeah, I got 10 fantasy points between those 2 players on FanDuel, and I knew my night was over. If I just would have played, what's his face from the Heat, Thomas Bryant, I would have cashed. Like, because pretty much
Jovic was awesome.
Yeah, I hit the nuts everywhere else. Like, remember we were talking about Jared Allen. Like I had Jared. I had all those guys in there, and it just didn't materialize. So it is what it is. It's one of those days where it just didn't come together like I thought. But we shake that off and we just keep pushing forward, and more wins will come.
I think that's the same night where I had a Jared Allen less than 1% in the 888, and he smacked. Yeah. But the rest of my team was terrible. I screwed.
But that's what I'm saying. I hit the nuts everywhere else. I had Cade, I had Jared Allen, I had LeVert. I mean, listen, man, I'm telling you, like I had the nuts, and those 2 guys with 10 fantasy points between them was just it was rough. But I probably should have just played Cade, but it is what it is, man. Like I don't care. This slate tonight, Dina, you want to talk about this OKC Toronto game? Is that where we are?
I mean, unless you got anything else to say as far as an overview, but that's the first game we're going to talk about.
Oh, okay. Well,
actually, you know what?
I'll give my overview.
Go ahead.
Overview on FanDuel, very short slate. Definitely think we want to be getting to some high upside plays, and we'll talk about why. But I definitely think you want to have some Wemby. Definitely think, believe it or not, you want to have some Anthony Edwards. I know he's expensive, but this is going to be a dogfight with Cleveland. Definitely think you want to have some SGA in terms of upside play. And I know those are the obvious plays, but on a small slate like this one, I don't think we're going to want to not play those guys. And then with where Boston is right now, it seems like Peyton Pritchard is locked into a role. I think Peyton Pritchard is going to be a value that we want to take advantage of. But all in all, on their short slate, I definitely want to key in on the high upside guys. On the DraftKings slate, Dean, where we've got a lot more guys that can get there, like AD, like Steph Curry on DraftKings, where I think Steph Curry is really cheap today in the spot against Indiana. I think this could be the Steph Curry spot of all spots. A slightly different build. I think there are a lot more mid-range plays because of these late games. I really think that opens it up a little bit.
So I'll let you know my optimal stuff. Like I said, it's really weird. I tend to get like guys that are going to be like 50, 60% owned. I allow for up to 72% ownership. Let's see. I just ran it again. And 28% Murphy for New Orleans. Good 3-point matchup versus Miami. That's how you get to him. And, of course, a little bit more usage flowing his way with the absence of Ingram. J.G. Jackson, is like fine, but like he's 28%. Chet Holmgren 26%. Concha, we don't know if he's going to play or not, but he projects well if he does. Jalen Williams also projects well, but we are going to get a new projection for Toronto because Gary Trent was like one of their best players tonight. Let's give our projection team a minute or so on that. Maybe we'll skip that game because that really is meaningful. Porter, we're expecting to be fine. He's off the injury report, but obviously we know quickly Barrett, Barnes, Pirtle. That's their start. 4 of their starting 5. That's essentially all their starters. Unless I'm missing somebody. Yeah, basically their starting lineup is out. If you want to say that like Olynyk would start or Brown would start, maybe, possibly, I don't know. But yeah, it's going to be rough for Toronto, and what they are 16-point dogs, and I wouldn't take the Toronto side. I don't want to lay 16 points in the road, but if you force me to pick, I would take the OKC side just because I think they're really, really good. And analysis, Toronto is really bad, quite bad. Yeah, let's just give our projection team a section. I was going to say we move on to the next game. The next game is Boston. We can't keep pushing these games aside, can we? Maybe. We'll see. You want to just jump to Memphis? Well, that's the whole slate, man. I want to skip all these games. Memphis, San Antonio. Memphis is still up in the air as well. But, yeah, how should we go about doing this? What do you suggest here? OKC, Toronto, want to just tackle it and dive in?
Yeah, let's just tackle it, get it out of the way, and then I think we're done with that game, and we can start talking about some of these other games.
Okay.
I promise I'll make quick work with this. I promise.
Well, the thing is, Toronto,
boy, Jason Tatum's out. All right.
Of course.
All right.
Why wouldn't he be?
No, I get it, Dean. I totally get it. I just,
They are 10 games up on anybody in the East, and they're like with 7 or 8 games up on anybody in the West. It's not an if, it's a when. Like they have locked the 1-1. It's it's incredible how well they've been this year, thriving, and they've earned this. They're going to play games. They've earned it. They're they're 10.5 games up on Milwaukee. Like that's at this point in the season, that is spectacular. And the OKC on the other side has 48 wins. Boston's got 55. Like, yeah, they have home field throughout. Do we get the rest of the clarity as far as Boston, or we just get Horford's out, which means Porzingis has got to be in. Porzingis is in. Brown is in. Hauser's in. Okay. And they're facing a terrible Detroit team. And by the time we get to Boston, Detroit, maybe our projection team will have figured that out as far as the new projections. I assume Tatum's going to play tomorrow. They gave him an ankle. It's funny they're giving them body parts, but whatever. I guess you got to give him something to justify it. Okay, the Thunder at the Raptors, 230 is the total. Raptors are just ravaged right now, 17-point dogs. All their starters essentially are hurt. Quickly, Barrett, Barnes, Pirtle, even Boucher. Trent is out now. Jonte Porter available. So who do we expect? Is Noir going to start? We're projecting it's going to be Jameis Ramsey is the projection right now in our starting lineup. Brown, Ramsey, Dick, Agbaji, Kelly O. They still have, 11, 12 guys, including Garrett Temple, Freeman Liberty, Jalen McDaniels, Jonte Porter, Noara, and Gouye. So, man, this is bad. And OKC is, a really good team, and they're fully healthy.
Sam Hauser is playing, though. That's very interesting. That's...
He's the one that had the actual real injury, right? He had an ankle, I believe. Yeah. Okay, so I guess he's healed up just fine. So they're going to project pretty well if you have Tatum and Holiday out, and Horford was out too. Is that right? I think Horford was out as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the guys that are left standing against Detroit are going to project pretty well. We'll talk about that. I mean, I would imagine White's going to project well, Brown's going to project well, as Pritchard. Maybe Pritchard's been playing really good of late.
Pritchard's definitely on the list tonight, Dean, for sure.
And he might close a little bit. I thought there was a chance we can get to some Luke Cornett season, but I guess I'm curious where he projects too. We'll see. We'll figure that out. But yeah, let's talk about the Thunder first. I love SGA here. Even the fringe guys like Giddey's in the mid tier is perfectly fine. Chet spectacular. Kelly, you're gonna throw Kelly O and Chet Holmgren. Good luck. Or John, the youngster Porter, and good luck. Jalen Williams, who's stopping him inside? Nobody. This OKC team should really, really punish Toronto. It's just a matter of keeping the game close. And this game's going to really project well. How many spots do you want to tie up? Right out the bait, right out the gate. 7 o'clock on the East Coast. Oh man, I don't know. It's going to be a lot of good plays, but I don't know how much I want to lock in at 7 with 7 more games on layaway, and the Boston stuff's opening up as well. What's your plan of attack here for OKC and Toronto?
So slightly different approach on DraftKings and FanDuel, Dean. On FanDuel, I'm going to be a lot more concentrated on just SGA. Because I know Chet went off the other night, but at 8K, in a game where their production could be cut short, I trust SGA more than anyone. Like, he's just like an automatic 30 real points with upside for anything else. So I'm more into SGA on FanDuel only. On DraftKings, we're Chet 7,400, Jalen Williams 71. Like, I just think that's too cheap for those guys, so I'm much more likely to play them there. And then I do understand that Toronto is just decimated, Dean, but I still don't hate Bruce Brown here. Like, outside of the blowout, he was on his way to a 30-plus fantasy point performance. All we need, Dean, is for him to keep it close for about 3.5 quarters. And I think, he has a shot to get there. I mean, with Gary Trent being out, I have to assume Bruce Brown is going to take a few more shots. So I think for me, I do like him. I don't hate Jordan Nwora today. I'm going to get over my Jonte Porter situation that happened to me previously. I think he's okay, Dean, because this could be a spot where he plays down the stretch in a blowout, and then suddenly he's got 30 fantasy points. And I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying that's possible. So I'm still okay with this Toronto value. But just like we talked about, I think on the previous slate, Dean, I was not comfortable with loading up. I think 1 to 2 of them is fine, but I don't think we need to be playing 4 guys from the Raptors.
Okay, so we have new projections here for Toronto. Let's go ahead and run them down here as far as the Raptors, and it's tough to predict, obviously, because there's a lot of moving parts. But yeah, we're giving Brown 34 minutes, Grady Dick 34 minutes, Agbaji 32 minutes, Ramsey 30, Kelly O 29. That's the starters. And then Nwora gets 23, Porter gets 21, Freeman, Liberty gets 20, McDaniels 18, and they gave a fringe minute, a hedge minute to Gouye. And I was looking at the optimal stuff that I ran. Now that's going to change again once the Boston stuff gets updated, which you'll update it momentarily. But now Ramsey is 3-6 on DK, popping like one of the best value plays on the board. And I just think we don't know for certain he's starting, but certainly if he plays 30 minutes, and also he probably mops up if this game gets ugly. He probably is one of those guys, the rare starter / mopper. I think he would be that guy. Just pulled up his stats on the season, only 78 minutes. Not a huge sample size, and probably played alongside different players, but usage of around 20%, 0.83 fantasy points per minute, so not horrendous. I guess he's going to pop as of right now. That's the way we're seeing it, unless he does not start for whatever reason. And Nwora looks pretty good at 4-2. He was bad the other day. He was not in the rotation as much as I wanted him to be, despite the fact they were super thin. He also started off 4 turnovers right out the gate. He was awful, but he did close in a terrible game. So he has access to mopping up as well. And now with getting guys like Ramsey, all of a sudden now you have money for SGA, you have money for Chet, and now you got yourself a game stack. The trouble is, again, higher probability this game blows out. Well, maybe just the very first optimal I have, it's funny, it's 2 Raptors, SGA and Nwora. The next one has got 4 Raptors, SGA and Williams. I'm just telling you, these teams are going to be popping. 4 Raptors and 3 Thunder. The third optimal that I have, I put some bells and whistles, manipulation and all that, but yeah, I have 4 Raptors, 3 Thunder, and then Derek White, which is just, this is and then what? All the players that crush the rest of the night, I'm just supposed to fade them. The Lakers look great. Anthony Davis looks spectacular. Just trying to figure out how much I want to tie into this first game because they look good math-wise now. Have you figured that out? You're still kind of considering it? Will, you got the score is 1-0 as far as the new scoreboard.
I am so sorry. I was saying I'm still perfectly fine with Bruce Brown. But listen, man, I don't plan to load up on Raptors. Now, once again, I do think we're in a slightly different discussion on DraftKings where guys are like just cheap. On FanDuel, once again, I think there's some different things we can do, but I'm not committed to playing. I think I'm way more interested in Boston tonight on FanDuel than I am the Raptors, if that makes any sense. You know what I'm saying? Because and I know we're not talking about that game, but I'm saying the difference in the value. Like, I think Detroit has a much better chance at keeping this game with Boston closer than the Raptors do with the Thunder. Like, Detroit still has Cade, Ivy, Duren, Fournier. Like, they still got some professional basketball players.
Yeah.
Where the Raptors – and look, I've seen Boston go out there with just Jaylen Brown and the scrubs and beat teams by 30. So I'm listen. I want you to understand. Like, I understand what's happening, but I still think Detroit has a much better chance at keeping this thing close, in my opinion, especially with Gary Trent out. My goodness.
The counterpoint with the FanDuel versus DK build is that you have less games to play with, a smaller player pool. Therefore, you're probably going to lean in more on FanDuel. To the value plays that are popping here on the Toronto side.
Wow. Well, I'm going to be completely against the field then. I'm going to be much more into Hauser, Pritchard, those types of guys than I will be for, Grady Private Parts and, Ochai Agbaji. Like, I'm going to be much more different into those guys.
I'm waiting for the Boston update, but I just did some FanDuel optimals. Okay, so first of all, the first four most popular players on my FanDuel optimals: Bruce Brown, Grady Dick, Ramsey, Nwora. Brown coming in at 73%, hitting my cap. So he would probably coming in even more if I let him. And Nwora 39%, Ramsey 53%, Grady Dick 62%. And again, this is before the Boston update, and that's certainly going to shake things up. But just how it works, the nature of that slate on FanDuel. If you're cutting off the last three games, well, if players look good, they get elevated. And just because you have less pivots, less options to choose from, and curious to see, we should be getting soon the Boston update. But yeah, man, Toronto, we just got it right now. Okay, we just got it. Let's see what changes here for the Boston side. Actually, we can introduce that game in a second as I'm kind of refreshing this. Do you have anything else to say as far as OKC? Is Chet still your favorite guy? SGL still your favorite guy?
DraftKings, like I said, DraftKings, totally different discussion. Chet, Jalen, SGA, they're all in play. FanDuel, I'm much more just into SGA than the others.
And you said Brown is your favorite guy in Toronto. He seems to be the most reliable.
Absolutely.
Also one of the first off the court if the game blows out, when the game blows out. But he projects really well, of course. You really can't assume a blowout, but he's probably going to play. He's going to have a lot on his plate. He'll be taking some extra shots. He'll be handling the ball a fair bit too. So yeah, projections are going to like him. Let's talk about Boston. Boston at Detroit, 223 is the total. Boston, 14 point favorite, give or take. We just got the news as far as the Celtics. Tatum is out. Brown is in. Porzingis is in. He's out tomorrow night, by the way. Spoiler alert. Al Horford is out. Hauser's in. Drew Holiday is out. So without Tatum, Horford, and Holiday, three key pieces, we're expecting, see our projected starters now. Pritchard, White, Brown, Hauser, and Porzingis. Let's see what we got here as far as our minutes projection. Shout out to the projection team on top of everything. We are giving 35 to Brown as far as minutes, 35 to White, 33 Pritchard, 32 Hauser, 31 Porzingis, Xavier Tillman 17, Cornette 15. Okay, so that's those are the kind of the darts, but yeah, it's pretty clear where those minutes are going to be going before this game gets goofy, before it gets ugly. So yeah, you're talking about the Boston guys. Who's the first one that jumps off the page for you as far as the Celtics?
I don't really have a first one per se, Dean. I just think they're all good. So I think Peyton Pritchard's going to be a great play. I think Derek White's going to be a great play. I think Jaylen Brown's going to be a great play. I think Sam House is going to be a great play. If I had the odd guy out, it would probably be Porzingis. He would be the one guy that I would probably not get involved with as much as the others, for sure. This could be an interesting Luke Cornette spot. I know he's been playing some minutes, Dean. Like you might get a slightly low-owned Luke Cornette that comes in and plays 20 minutes and puts up a nice amount of fantasy points. Because when you look at their bench right now, I mean, it's Tillman, Cornette, Sivvy, O'Shea Brissett, Springer, Walls, J.D. Davidson. Like, you know, that they're not as deep as they look. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're a deep team, Dean, when their rotation is intact. So when they've got Drew Holiday and all these guys, and they can bring Pritchard off the bench and do, you know, and pull Derek White and then bring back in Tatum, pull Tatum, bring back in Brown. Like, that's when they become deep. But what they've got, you know, three of their main pieces sitting out, because Al Horford is still a main piece of their rotation. I know, I'm not saying he's playing 40 minutes, but I'm saying he's a big part of their rotation. Horford's out tonight. Drew Holiday's out. Tatum is out. So Pritchard for sure. Derek White. We've seen Derek White have really big games, Dean, with all these guys out. He's been one of the biggest beneficiaries. So I have to assume that continues tonight against Detroit. Hopefully the egg's not on my face and doesn't let me down. But I still like, once again, Pritchard, White, Brown, Hauser would be my favorites. I'm okay with leaving Porzingis out. Also in that game, though, Dean, and I could be wrong here, I am more than willing to now play a buttload of Cade Cunningham. If this game is remotely close, Cade Cunningham is going to have a huge, I think, in my opinion, fantasy night. So, with Boston being down a few players, can Cade Cunningham help this team keep the game close enough to be able to put up a nice score? We saw the other night against Indiana. He played 29-30 minutes, had 44 fantasy points. Imagine, Dean, if he'd played 32 minutes, 33 minutes, now we're getting him close to 50. I think Cade is a really good tournament play yet again, and I don't think people are going to be considering playing him. But with Boston down these bodies, I like Cade Cunningham.
He put up like 30 or so in the first half. And like you said, the blowout kind of killed his minutes there at the end. New FanDuel optimals. Okay. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 7 of the first 8 players on FanDuel ownership-wise are either Raptors or Celtics. Pritchard is breaking it for me. Yeah, he's the guy that's really popping at 4.9. His projection now on FanDuel is 31 and change.
Yeah, but
Looks
I
like
think
an
he's
awesome
good
value.
chalk though. Like Pritchard, I think is good chalk. Like he can get 20.
I agree.
26 fantasy point, 27, and on FanDuel with a small slate, I think you'll be okay, even if he doesn't break the bank.
Brown is still coming in at 72%. So Pritchard and Brown super chalky.
You said Brown's coming in where?
72%. He would be even higher. He's really popular. Yeah, 5.4 is asking price. Our projection right now is around 32, 33. FanDuel specific. Derek White, 63% of my lineups. Hauser, 62%. Grady Dick, 55%. You know the one guy in that 7 of 8 that's not a Raptor or a Celtics. It's a big spend. It's not SGA. It's Wemby. Wemby looks awesome tonight. Yeah. He's the one that's coming in. Wemby with Celtics and Raptors.
I have Wemby and SGA currently, but I may be doing some tweaking here because there's one other value play tonight, Dean, that I really like. That I don't know if
Scottie
people are
Pippen?
going to play. No, not Scotty.
What's a value play? How low is value play?
He's 4,900.
Oh, now I can just cheat. I don't know who it is.
I don't think people are going to play him, but as long as this lineup continues to be the way it is, I'm all systems go.
Okay. Have we talked about his team just yet?
No.
Okay, because I saw Jonte Porter was 4.9. And I thought that may be who it is.
No. We'll get there.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, never mind. My boy, Lord King Guru McDaniels, man. I don't think he's going to get ownership, but he's got a different role with how all these guys have been sitting and not playing. I like McDaniels tonight, but we'll talk about that when we get to this game against Cleveland. This is going to be a good basketball game.
Okay, I was thinking the other McDaniels. I was looking at McDaniels for Toronto. His his minutes get opened up, and I'm like, I'm staring at him. He's 3.8. Yeah. All right. Let's get back to the Boston stuff. Oh, so my optimals that I ran on DK. Now, Pritchard is the top guy. White is the next guy. The next 4 are Raptors. The next guy is a Celtic. The next 2 are Thunder players. So it's Boston, Toronto, Boston, OKC. And the big spend here, well, 22%, Anthony Davis, who looks awesome. Anthony Davis, of course, not available on FanDuel. Murphy is the next guy. Awesome matchup. Not a good sort of matchup against Miami. Sneaky good matchup because that's how you get the Miami, not on the outside, not on the inside, but on the outside. And, a few more shots coming his way in the absence of Ingram. So I think Murphy looks pretty good. And then there's SGA. Okay. Porzingis, by the way, and Brown, only 15%, 13% on my TK optimals. The popular ones are Pritchard, White, and Hauser's in the middle there at 29%. No Pistons coming in. I don't know when we're going to get ownership stuff. It's really tricky to figure out all the ownership stuff. But Eric had a question in chat, and he was asking, isn't the game one concern a little overanalyzed at times? A good play is good at 1 or a 10. I just don't think we're going to get situations better than this at 10 o'clock. Maybe I could be wrong. Do you see anything like what just happened with Boston and what's happening with Toronto? Are we going to have thinner rotations? Maybe Memphis. But a lot of those guys are priced up anyway. Maybe Portland, but I don't know how much of that I want. I just feel like I don't know what situations are going to get better. You never really know. Sometimes guys get scratched out of nowhere, especially this time of year. But I think these are the best spots. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, I do think this is a good spot for these guys in terms of solidified value, and that's kind of a judgment call. And I think that's really what you're saying, Dean. These are now solidified. This is solidified value, where some of these things in the later games you may have to make some tweaks. Like I see Steve Jones mention Portland. I understand Portland, but Portland's in the same situation where this should be a blowout. So I'm not really worried about Portland per se. Delano Banton has already been playing minutes, so if you want to play him on DraftKings, be my guest. He's getting minutes anyway,
But he's 5'7". It's not like he's so sport day.
Yeah. Absolutely. So but for me, I do think this is the solidified value of the night, and I think you can pick your spots. Once again, DraftKings has given you a plethora of extra big spins, Dean, with LeBron, with Anthony Davis. Once again, you've got Tyrese Halliburton if you want to play him. You've got Kawhi or Paul George or Harden or Tyrese Maxey if you want to. I'm just saying you've got extra bigger spins if you want to get to those guys. Later on in the night, and that's going to be your call. I have my view on the slate, and I will share that. But that's totally up to the player themselves.
Yeah, it's tough. If you could put a value play on it, like a number, like a 1 through 10, how good is the value of Bruce Brown? He's like an 8.5. I don't know, a 9, whatever.
Yeah, I give him 8.5 because of the blowout. If this game is going to be close, he'd probably be a 10.
But I don't see anybody getting to that level. Scoot is already up to 6'1", and Simons, he's not in the injury report. We've seen some weird things, but I assume he plays. Decent chance Ayton doesn't play, I guess. But just trying to see if we have anything. That's the person I guess they're sort of referencing there with Portland. Memphis does have 3 guys that are questionable. So there's a chance they can do some goofy stuff. Minnesota, I just kind of think that at least one of Nas and Gobert plays. And prices have been baked up anyway. Edwards I assume he plays. He's still officially questionable, right? But yeah, we'll get to it. And Indiana and Golden State, they're really healthy. If we get one scratch, so be it. Probably not going to happen. I know LeBron's officially questionable, but come on. Lakers haven't played in several days. They need wins. They should. They don't really need them against Philly, and they don't play tomorrow. It's an island game, but I suspect LeBron's going to play. Detroit, you said your favorite play on Detroit is Cade.
Yeah, Cade.
And if you're playing Cade, this probably happens organically anyway, but if I'm playing Cade, I'm definitely playing at least 2 Celtics with him, possibly 3.
Yeah, I've got 3 right now. I may make a tweak to that, but I've got Cade and 3 Celtics. But once again, that's me I'm kind of building and tweaking as we go along, D. Projections update, looking at matchups, just kind of trying to get the right formula for a win here.
Okay.
Here we go.
We saw this Tosan. I meant to pronounce this. Iwoma. I was checking this out before the show. Draw the start there for Detroit. I didn't give the rundown as far as all the Pistons. I guess in all that information dropping, I mentioned the Boston guys, but they are taking on another team. the Generals, if you will, basically playing the role of the Generals. They're going to lose. They always lose. So the Pistons are going to be without pulling up my list now. Yeah, Oscar Thompson's out for the season. Beef Stew is done over the year. Taj Gibson, no go. Fontecchio, he's got that toe. He's been out for a while. Stanley Amude, he was there for a brief period, but he's also done for the year. So we are expecting I just don't think we need it anymore, basically. Earlier in the day, I was looking at Tosan Iwoma, and he drew the start. He's probably one of those guys that can draw the start and close the game if it's ugly. I thought Wiseman was an interesting dart. If this game fully blows out, he's a guy that might be able to crush in the fourth quarter. Good stat compiler, but there's a reason why he keeps jumping from team to team, and it's like a massive bust. Not great defensively. Metu might get some run. Maybe Evan Fournier starts, but I don't think we need them really because there's Troy. They still have plenty of guys. And if they hang with Boston, it's probably because Cunningham's having a big day. You can play Duran, you can play Ivy, but I don't think I'm messing with these other fringe guys. Is that kind of where you're at as well?
Yeah, I don't really care too much about it. I mean, if I was going to try to put together some sort of a game stack for this game, it'd be Cade, it'd be Duran, plus the Celtics guys.
Okay. Next game is Memphis and San Antonio. 216.5 is a total. San Antonio 6-point favorite. Not very often they're a 6-point favorite, but Memphis, litany of guys that are out. Questionable midday downgrade. Jake LaRivia. Scottie Pippen Jr. has got a shin, so he's questionable. Concher, he's got a heel, so he's questionable. Bain, we're expecting not to play. He's officially doubtful. Ditto with Vince Williams. And all the other guys you've heard of aren't playing either. They only have 10 as of right now. So this is the situation we have to monitor. And the tricky part here, 8 o'clock. Will we know the Memphis who's in, who's out news by 7 o'clock? I don't know. They might only have 7/8 guys. Now you have to dress 8, and sometimes you have the 8th guy that's an emergency guy. But we're counting 10. Pippen, Conchar, Gigi Jackson, Aldama, Triple J, LaRivia, Jameson, Giroux, Perea, and Goodwin. And that's assuming they all play. And 3 of those guys are questionable. Now, again, they wouldn't cancel the game. One guy would just sit there in the uniform and not play, and be the 8th man. But I just think – and also they're facing the Spurs, which is a great matchup. So I don't want to ignore the Grizzlies. This is the one that can kind of muck up, loading up on Boston and Toronto, outside of Toronto mucking up themselves just by, getting walloped. But I think we have to keep our eyes on Memphis and maybe leave some stuff open for Memphis if we don't get clarity by 7 o'clock. And on the other side, Wemby is going to annihilate somebody, whoever's taking them on there on the Memphis side. They are fully healthy, right? Collins is back. He's good to go. But it's essentially it's Wemby or Vassell. I wish Vassell was a tick cheaper, but, he's playing a pile of minutes these days. Jones is fine. Sohan, I guess, is fine, but they're a little fringy for me. What's your assessment of Memphis, San Antonio? Best we can do, because the Memphis stuff, I think we're going to lose at least one of these guys, and we might be down to 8.
Yeah, I think Wemby's your guy tonight, or one of your guys for big spin in tournaments. The books definitely think this game, although the total is lower, would be closer than the Raptors Thunder game in general. Same thing for the Celtics Pistons, obviously. So Wemby, I think, is one of your bigger spins in tournaments. I think he's going to garner some ownership, but it's still, I still think he's very reasonable for this slate, because on DraftKings you do have all these other 10K and 11K guys that you can also play. On FanDuel, he might be a little bit higher in ownership. I haven't checked. I'm still on my DraftKings tab right now, but so I do like him. I do like Devin Vassell. I don't mind Keldon Johnson at 5,500. I think that's okay in this spot against Memphis. For Memphis, I'm with you. We do need to wait and probably see how these guys are going to handle the rotation. But if Scottie Pippen Jr. plays, he's fine. If Contra plays, he's fine. If any of these guys sit, because, San Antonio has not been known to be a defensive team this season. Long gone are the days of David Robinson, Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili. Those guys are long gone. Kawhi Leonard's gone.
Robert Horry.
Yeah, Robert Horry, the most clutch 3-point shooter in NBA history. He's gone. So that's just my point is that's not what this team is anymore, Dean. And so, if Memphis plays, they typically play pretty tough. So I'm in on some of these values if they come to fruition. But I still think Wemby is one of the better big spins of the day for tournaments. And I don't think anyone needs to back down off of that. He could absolutely have a monster day. Avery Johnson's gone, Dean. Tony Parker. Let's see who else was back then with
Sean Elliott.
Yeah, Sean Elliott. See, those guys, they're out the door, Dean. It's not a defensive team anymore.
I like how Avery Johnson, noted defensive player. Avery Johnson is out. He's not available. I mean, I don't think he was a great defender, was he? Maybe he was. I just forget.
But see, Dean, he was a part of the system. And to play good defense, you don't have to be the best on-ball defender. You just got to know how to play your assignment, forcing the help, helping the right man. Like, those are things. Bruce Bowen, yes. Portillo.
That's a really good answer, actually. Bowen's a really good answer. He was a legit good defender.
Vinny Del Negro. Yeah, see, all those guys. You guys know. Yeah.
Hey, Dennis Rodman played for the Spurs.
Yeah, he did play for them for a while. Yes, Dennis Rodman.
There you go. Steve Kerr. We're just naming Spurs.
Gary
now.
Neal. Yeah. Listen, Gary Neal went off in the finals one year. Does anybody remember the Gary Neal game in the finals? If you can't drop a G in the chat, if you remember the Gary Neal playoff performance where he just went nuts. I mean, he just started shooting threes. He just couldn't miss. Gary Neal, man, that was terrific. And the Gary Neal parlayed that performance into a contract with the Charlotte Hornets.
I was just going to say the Hornets must have paid him. Of course, it was the Hornets. Oh, it's so bad.
Gary
That's
Neal,
great.
Man.
That's the cherry on the story.
Listen, the incredible performance, though, D. Like, I don't see if people aren't like basketball aficionados and they haven't watched all these games. Like, sometimes you forget about those little performances from some of that Shaq calls them the others. But that was a really good performance by Gary Neal. Man, that brought back some memories.
Chat's having a good time now. Some great noted San Antonio Spur, Will Purdue. Mario Ellie, of course. Yeah, some great names. Brent Berry, who can forget Brent Berry, San Antonio Spur. Yeah, there's Chuck Person, Rifleman. All right. Keep firing off some more Spurs in the chat. Have yourself a good time.
But I think we're good with this game. I think we can go to Pelicans Heat.
Yeah, 208 is the total. New Orleans, the only team in the back half of a back-to-back. They're traveling as well. They're in Miami. South Beach is right there. They're 4-point dogs. They're without their second-best player, and Brandon Ingram. They've been healthy for a while, so if they've been hit with an injury. He's out for at least several weeks, they said. And Miami's getting healthier, right? Bam is back. Caleb Martin good to go. They're still without Hero and Robinson and Love, so some of their outside shots are not there. Richardson's done for the year, so we can stop thinking about him. 208 is the total. We shouldn't really like games that have a 208 total. New Orleans, good defensive team. Miami, pretty solid defensively as well. But the absence of Ingram, I think, I thought Zion would be an awesome play if Bam didn't go. Bam's in, so could you imagine Jovic or Bryant try to hold down Zion, who's been just phenomenal of late? Bam it's much tougher to get to. Not to say you can't play Zion, but I'm probably not. I only make so many lineups. A slight bump for McCollum as well, but I think Murphy's got the best bump and the best micro matchup here because Miami is most vulnerable from the outside. By the way, if you missed it, I just dropped this in chat. Today we're giving away, if you're late to the show, fantasy pick'em tool, Prize Picks, Underdog, DraftKings, Pick 6. That tool is free, a part of premium. Use that at your own leisure. Very, very easy to figure that out if you happen to be on those sites. And you can also use some of that information, transcribe it basically to a sports book as well. If the numbers are exactly the same, you can kind of figure it out. But there you go. Have at it. If you're late to the show, we have people sprinkling it on throughout. Not everybody jumps in at 5 o'clock. So want to make you all aware of today's free premium piece of content giveaway. Pelicans Heat, what is your read?
Well, Dean, excuse me, man. I had to cough there. Let me grab my water, take a little sip.
No worries. We can just go ahead and mention Michael Finley while we wait for you to drink your water.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of good Spurs in the history of the NBA. Michael Finley, I think no, that was Jason Richardson. Did Michael Finley win a dunk contest? No, I think that was just Jason Richardson. But either way, yeah, he might have. But yeah, for the Pelicans, I mean, I do like CJ McCollum, Dean. I think with Ingram out, I think this could be an opportunity for him to have a really, really nice performance. Obviously, Trey Murphy is going to be shooting it up as well. Herb Jones, I think, is going to get some big minutes, Dean. Herb Jones is a guy I've been taking unders on like all season. I had unders on him the other night, and when Brandon Ingram went down, he had to produce. So Herb Jones is pretty cheap across the industry. So I like him, and I am still into Zion, Dean. I think with what we've been seeing from him, Dean, he's actually been pretty productive here as he's continued to play down the stretch. So I like Zion. I think he's a good play. I did see someone mention Jonas Valanciunas. Dean, I just think he's right at that price where you just need to play him. Listen, hear me out, Dean.
When's he going to play? Yeah, it feels like he's in the doghouse, but the right matchup.
But what I'm saying is he could play 15 minutes, and that's fine. But I'm saying the price is starting to plummet. If he gets 25 minutes at 4,900, that could be 35 fantasy. That's really all this is. It's really a price play. So I think from a price perspective, I think he's in play. I do think Jose Alvarado will pick up some minutes as well. In terms of the Miami Heat, I like Jimmy Butler. I'm okay with Bam. I think I'd side more with Butler. I do like Caleb Martin coming off the bench. He's been fairly productive. And I think that's it for me, Dean. I'm not really loading up on this game.
See, ownership, still haven't got an update on ownership. We have like at 5 o'clock or so. Of course, that's going to come in through soon enough. But yeah, I was curious if anybody in Miami is going to be rostered. I feel like they're not. Just kind of shuffling on through. Like earlier in the day, 10% Jimmy, everybody else less than 2% or so. Bam, like if nobody's playing Bam, like you can get a pinch and be well over the field if you want to. But I don't really have a lot to say as far as this matchup. I don't think I'm playing anybody in Miami. And again, I was in on Zion if Bam didn't play. I'm probably not playing anybody on New Orleans outside of maybe Murphy. I don't hate McCollum. But again, I only make a few lineups. Let's move on. All right. Next game on the docket, another 8 o'clock game. The last game on the FanDuel slate is Cleveland at Minnesota. Another paltry total, 207. Yuck. Two of the best defensive teams in all of basketball as well when they're fully healthy. Gobert, obviously questionable for Minnesota. Cleveland's without Mobley, so they're hurting defensively. But still, pretty good overall defense. Not a team I want to pick on. Their pace isn't especially fast either. Anthony Edwards, that is officially questionable. I can't imagine he doesn't play. He plays through everything. He's been playing through the finger, taping it up. Nas, he has that head, but I think he plays. It was not. I think it was not diagnosed officially as a concussion, but so he's officially questionable. You know the deal, though. If like Gobert and Cat are both out, we know Cat is already out. Nas all of a sudden becomes interesting. But this is kind of the point I was making before. Okay, Nas season. Well, he's 7'6". It better be Nas season. Like he can pay it off, sure, but it's not like a lock. He's just like all of a sudden in play. He goes from like kind of unplayable to in play if Gobert does not go. Who I kind of think he goes. But we'll see. The Cleveland side, we know Mitchell's still dealing with that nose, so he cannot play. Strus is out indefinitely with his knee. No Wade, so they're thin. But prices have pretty much adjusted. I thought LeVert looked pretty good earlier in the day, despite the fact it's a bad matchup. Now he kind of falls back with all the Boston stuff. Can you still play him? Sure. But yeah, this game overall, I don't love a lot unless we get like some, Edwards somehow gets ruled out and, Gobert somehow gets ruled out. But I don't anticipate that. But where are you at as far as Cleveland and Minnesota?
Yeah, dude, I actually really like this game.
Okay.
I know sometimes I feel like we overlook these types of games because of the totals and because it's supposed to be a good defensive matchup. But one thing still rings true here, Dean. Karl-Anthony Towns is not playing basketball tonight, and neither is Donovan Mitchell. And so that's opening up, even for two really good defensive teams. The production, I think, is still concentrated. Garland, LeVert, Jared Allen. That's the production there. You go over to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Where's the production coming from? Mainly Anthony Edwards, and then recently with these guys being out, you've had Jaden McDaniels step up. You've had Kyle Anderson put together some nice performances. You've had Mike Conley put together a few nice performances as well. So for me, I do really like this game, Dean. Now, once again, I know it's priced up, but I think you can utilize a Garland or LeVert or Jared Allen and piece that together around the value. I'm not saying stack this game, so let me make that clear. I like this game because I think there are players that are going to be highly productive, but I don't think we need to stack this game, obviously. But playing a piece or two with the value, I think, is a great way to be different. I'm going to use FanDuel because I'm mostly going to play there tonight because the slate kind of ends at 8 o'clock or it locks at 8 o'clock. For instance, Dean, everybody's going to be playing Derek White, and I think you should, but we aren't going to see a lot of Levert ownership, and I think you can play them together. Right? You can play White and Levert together, and that's going to give you a slightly different lineup construction, Dean, because we already know most people are probably going to be trying to play White with Pritchard or what, they're going to do something different than that. And so I think being able to pull something like that off in tournaments is really good. I don't think a lot of people are going to play Anthony Edwards either. So even though it's a smaller slate, I still don't think Cleveland and Minnesota are going to garner the ownership they should on a 5-game slate on FanDuel. So I really like this game for concentrated production between a player or two. Not the game and not the whole game, but just taking pieces from the game.
Just want to shout out Ray. DeJuan Blair is a great random spur. If I'm not mistaken, I think he lost. Didn't he lose both his ACLs? I think he played with no ACLs. Am I making that up? I think that was DeJuan Blair's story. He lost an ACL on both legs. Never really known for his great jumping ability either, but kind of like a broad center. Remember DeJuan Blair?
Yeah, for sure. And I wanted to mention Jaden McDaniels is another player. I'm sorry, did I mean to cut off your random almanac fact? So sorry about that. But I do think Jaden McDaniels, if we have another situation, D, where these guys are sitting, Jaden McDaniels is another really good value play that people aren't going to play now because of the Toronto and Boston situation.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think I'm planning to play Jaden McDaniels until they tell me that all these guys are suiting up. But I think, Dean, if they sit, I still don't think he's going to get the ownership.
You can pivot to Memphis. Memphis probably opens up. It's 8 o'clock. I'm sorry. If that's what you're getting to, I apologize. I didn't mean to cut you off. But that could be the thought process.
Yeah,
you have a plan B. If everybody's in for Minnesota, probably something better for Memphis is available. Obviously, you got to line it up position-wise.
Absolutely.
Okay. By the way, question in chat, why does Joe Val get played off the court so many times? I think it's because he's really vulnerable to the PNR. He gets PNR to death, and he's like a good rebounder, but he's not great at covering the PNR. And that's that from me watching the games, that's kind of like what I pick up on it. But I don't know if you have a thought on that. Why Val? Because he's a really good fantasy player. The coach doesn't care how many fantasy points per minute this guy gets. But I think that's the reason why we see Valanciunas get played off the court a bunch. Okay, there are 3 games at 10 o'clock. Pacers and the Warriors. 240 is the total. Pretty high. Well, very high. Pretty tight. Pacers just 5-point dogs here. The only thing, my issue with this game is these are 2 healthy teams that play deep rotations, right? Golden State should be good to go. Moses Moody's got a questionable knee, but otherwise they're fully, healthy. Indiana does have a questionable Obi Toppin. James Johnson's questionable, or he's out. Doesn't matter. We saw something weird last game with the Pacers where Isaiah Jackson was the backup center. I don't know if that's going to continue going forward. It was just an anomaly.
Went nuts.
Well, that's the way, and that's the other. It kind of works with Turner. I like Miles Turner, but he's like Wendell Carter. They give him 28, 29, 30 minutes. They'll never give him 32, 33, basically. Now it's kind of priced. It's kind of baked into the price. Halliburton, we know about his issues with scoring these days. He talked about it as well. I feel like I should like this game more than I do, but I don't really like this game, and it's kind of scary. The Steph thing, you mentioned Steph earlier. The Pacers are a good matchup, but they're great inside. That's where they're most vulnerable, and they give up the fewest made threes per game to opponents. Now, does that mean you can't play Steph? Of course not. But, they actually do a good job covering the three-point line. And a lot of that probably because they give a lot of stuff in transition, at the basket. But, I'll throw it to you. Pacers, Warriors.
Yeah, I think that, Dean, in terms, the total is at 240 and a really small spread. So I think people, should be interested in this game. For me, Siakam was probably my favorite Pacer. He's a guy that has been, in my opinion, Dean, really turning it on here as we close out the end of the season. You look over what he's done, and this is DK points, Dean. How many times do you think he's gone over 40 fantasy points or really close in the last 5 games? 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna give him 4 out of 5, Dean. One, he was at 39.75. I'm gonna give him 40 at that on a technicality. The other game was 38, Dean. So he's really been playing well. 49, 39.75, 54, 38, and 46. I think this is another game where he can get off here. So I really like him. On the other side, not on the other side, also on that same side, I think Aaron Neesmith's a guy that we can play. I think the only reason he didn't really get off the other night, D, it was a blowout. He'd been playing 30-plus minutes, but they kind of handled Detroit. He kind of went home and hit the showers for the day. And so I do think a guy like him, although they're a pretty stacked team, he's been playing minutes, especially with Benedict Mathurin out. So I really like Aaron Neesmith here. I think that price is very reasonable for him on DraftKings at 5,100. And then we, of course, on the other side, we've got Steph Curry, 8,600. I've talked about him. I think this is more of a price play. Now, I know Curry's been in the 8K range all season long, but I don't think all matchups create equal. And I know you talked about them not really, or Indiana covering up the 3. And Steph Curry does take a lot of threes, Dean, but I still think his scoring here could be a big factor. I think he could score 30-plus points, real points, in this game. So I really like him a ton. And so I think, those couple pieces from this game could really pay off some tremendous dividends if everything comes together.
Clippers are in Portland, 216s the total. Another, 3 of the 8 games where you have favorites of 14 points or more on the road. You just never really see that. But that's where we're at. 14-point favorites as far as the Clippers taking on Portland. Midday downgrade for was it DeAndre? Ayton. Yeah, Ayton had the midday downgrade. Simon's officially probable. Thibault's questionable. Grant, we're assuming he's out. He's doubtful with his hamstring. And as far as the Clippers, they're pretty healthy. A couple guys that are questionable on the fringe. Powell and Mann. Westbrook, nothing new. He's been out with his ham for a while. I think this game is going to be mostly ignored. If Ayton doesn't go, do we have an if-then set up for that? Probably not, because that happened relatively early. I'm trying to think, is there anybody that would be interesting, or Reith would get some run, Walker, maybe if you weren't, would anybody actually jump up and be viable? I don't think so. I guess not viable is not the right word, but a really strong play. I don't think that's the case. And it'll probably just extend the chance of a blowout a little bit more. Although I don't think DeAndre Ayton's the guy that really moves the needle when it comes to Vegas so much. Just a good stat compiler. I don't really like this game. I'm kind of sort of hoping for a blowout. All the 3 key players, Harden, George, Kawhi, they're all playing. So I think they all just kind of kill each other's ceiling. Side note, Will, maybe we can get producer Steve to pull this up. Did you see James Harden go after Kawhi's shot the other day?
Oh, yeah, that was one of the funniest things you see in basketball.
That was amazing.
He kicked it out to him and then went with a hard contest into the corner.
You think he said something to him, it made a joke, as he's jumping at him, he's just gonna play? He's playing around. He's having a good time, right? You think he was like?
No, I think maybe he just I think possibly, Dean, he pulled himself back into an actual drill than the game. So sometimes you run these drills where you hit the paint, you kick, you close and contest. Yeah, and perhaps he just thought he was in the middle of a drill rather than the actual game. I don't know. I didn't see any interviews about what he actually thought was going on, but it was quite comical, and I did like it.
Was awesome. Yeah. I really,
sure.
And of course, Harden, the guy who has the rap of never playing defense, all the gifts, so look how terrible. You've seen him playing bad defense like a kid's summer camp or whatever. I just really enjoyed that play. As far as this game from a DFS perspective, I'm hoping it's quiet because I don't think I'm going to have much.
Yeah, I don't hate Paul George. I mean, Paul George is back to he's kind of on a tear right now, Dean. See, he's another one of these guys, 51, 45, 46, 48. And that 48 was against Portland, played 35 minutes. I get it, Dean. I'm just saying one of these guys could have a night. I don't think you make any type of real commitment to them in terms of single entry or anything like that. But I think if you're running 150, you get a small piece of Harden, George, or Kawhi. One of these guys could absolutely pay it off here. But other than that, I'm not really thrilled about this game.
About 6-7 minutes, give or take. We got Roth coming in. We have you late swapped with Kirkwood. Kirkwood's coming in as well. and I believe TJ. No, it's not TJ. It's the other Taylor Smith, coming in for crunch time about 5 minutes or so. The last game on the DK slate.
Look
again,
at that,
FanDuel.
All the shenanigans on the beginning, and we're going to finish right on time. See?
Yeah.
Tell them we're professionals, D.
This isn't our first show. We know how to pace it,
Do
right?
like that. Do like that.
225.5 is the total. Shout out to Kirk Cousins. What a contract compiler. He's spectacular at that. Good for him. The Lakers are 7-point favorites versus the 76ers. Tobias Harris is still officially questionable, right? Yeah, Tobias still officially questionable. Nothing new with Embiid. Melton's still out. LeBron officially questionable. I would be pretty shocked if he didn't play. Either way, Davis is spectacular. He would be ridiculously spectacular. What's better than that? Ludicrous speed. You want to play yourself some Anthony Davis against the Sixers. No Taurean Prince. He's out tonight. Davis versus Wemby. You got a thought on that?
On FanDuel, I'm taking Wemby. On DraftKings, I know, Dean. That was part of the humor. On DraftKings,
it's analysis. Sharp call.
On DraftKings, I'm taking Davis.
Yeah, I mean, Davis is just, and like I see somebody in the chat, Butto talking about, oh yeah, the Mo Bamba revenge game. Yeah, I guess Mo and Davis must have probably went at it in defense a time or two in the past, right? Bamba was on the Lakers last year. Did he play for the Lakers last year? Was he hurt last year? I don't remember much about it. According to Butto, it's Taurean Prince's birthday. Well, he's also ruled out for personal reasons, so I hope all is well for him. And it's not just like hope everything's well with Taurean Prince not playing.
Had a night on the town in Los Angeles, Dean.
Maybe the Philly guys did that too. Maybe Maxey had himself a good time in LA. He's the big spend on Philadelphia. If you think this game's going to stay close, you think you're going to light up the Lakers with some points. That's how they're going to get there. I think we have an if then for Tobias. I wanted to see because I don't really think I want to play Oubre and those guys. Do you have like a what if Harris is out? Do you get interested in somebody? I'm pulling it up now.
If Harris is out, I don't hate Oubre. I mean, he's flashed enough upside. I will say this, Dean. I think there was going to be a commitment to Kyle Lowry earlier today because of his price. But now that we've got all this value, I think Lowry's going to be left out in the cold. I do still think he's okay for what it's worth, Dean. I feel like the Sixers are more likely to keep a game close than some of these other guys. So I do still think it's okay. But, and then obviously Nicholas Batum would vault into the starting lineup if Tobias Harris didn't play, but I wouldn't be thrilled about rostering Nicholas Batum. On the other side, obviously, we talked about it, Anthony Davis. He's definitely a guy that we want to get involved with, Dean. Definitely a guy that I think, has tournament winning upside. We've been, D'Angelo Russell, Dean, while nobody's talking about it, he's quietly being still putting up monster fantasy performances, like on the regular. I know he had 2 games sandwiched in between. 51 and 53 DK points. He's still a very reasonable spin. Should not garner as much ownership tonight as he should, Dean. So I think he's a guy outside of the big two in LeBron and AD that you can also roster. I think people are just, like I said, I don't think people are going to roster him tonight. I think that's a mistake. He could absolutely get there.
Want to give a refresh and see if our ownership stuff's coming in. I know it's a lot to work on. Let's see. Given the old lineup HQ a refresh. We have projection updates. Ownership not just yet, but should be coming through soon enough. If you want to use lineup HQ at your own leisure, not just for NBA, PGA, perfect time for college basketball with the madness going on. NHL, MMA, MLB, which starts next Thursday. I guess technically it's already started. You get a break for a 6-month combo sub, exclusive price of $469.99. Now, if you're going month to month to month to month, you're going to spend $250 more than that. You want to commit to 6 months, you get the special 6-month price. If you want to just go 3 days, you get yourself a price of $19.99. We also have $10 off at Scores and Odds. We'll go ahead and drop that in chat for the people. A discount there if you want to get some sides and some totals and some picks. Shout out to the squad ride. We went 2 out of 3. I say we, 2 for 3 yesterday. The squad ride picks. They're just having a good time when it comes to the tournament. So they're playing They're making picks all throughout the day. I believe they are 2-0 in the afternoon. Hopefully Clemson hung on. Somebody tell me if Clemson hung on, because I got them a parlay. That was a part of the squad ride, and they probably have dropped another one, which I've not yet just checked, but I would imagine they have a squad ride pick for this evening. But the squad ride has been hot. How's the prop shop going there, Will? Any props to the people tonight?
It's kind of slim. It's kind of slim pickings on the prop side. I do have some. Like I'm taking Podziemski less than 5.5 rebounds, Maxey less than 3.5, Rui Hachimura, Maxey less than 3.5 rebounds, Rui Hachimura less than 4.5 rebounds, Jeremy Sochan more than 2.5 assists, Lou Dort less than 3.5 rebounds. Those are some of my main. Oh, Kelly Olynyk less than 5.5 assists. I think that was a good one. Orhez Niang less than 4.5 rebounds. Those are some of the props that I have in for tonight.
What Niang? George's Niang?
Yeah, I know. Listen, I know it's George's, man. I'm calling him Orhez. Just let me.
I like that better, actually.
Yeah, Orhez Niang. I know it's not a J. I know it's a G. Okay, so we're good. I've been having some fun today.
Hey, you know what? It's Friday nights. You're going to see some ballet. You're going to watch some basketball, I assume, when you get home. Why not have a good time?
I don't think I'm going to watch a whole lot of basketball when I get home, Dean.
Roadhouse? You going to watch Roadhouse finally? The new Roadhouse has been released?
I've been watching Power. So that's my show that I've been watching. I'm on season 6. I'm about to wrap up season 6. I think I'm on season 6 episode, 5 or something like that. It's 15 episodes for season 6. And I'm going to finish up Power, and then I will move on to my next show, which might be Power Book 2.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of spinoffs, right, for Power?
Yeah,
it's a big commitment.
So I might, we'll see what happens as I close out the original Power series. But yeah, I mean it's been pretty good. Yeah, King Dash saying now you got to watch the spinoffs. I am planning to watch the spinoffs. That is my plan. Am I going to watch it right after I finish Power? Maybe not. We'll see. But yeah, it's Power was a show that I did enjoy. Oh, Tony 2X is saying BMF. That's Black Mafia Family. For those of you that aren't possibly on Hulu or Prime or whatever. I think it's on Hulu. I may check that out, but I think I'm gonna. Before I check that out, I'll finish Power. I heard Snowfall was good. Never watched it. I don't know.
I've heard that's very good too. It's on from FX. It's on the list.
Yeah. So
just finished.
Perhaps I'll check that out. I am still watching Abbott Elementary, which is a totally different genre. But Abbott Elementary is one I'm still watching. I got to catch up on, I think, 2 or 3 episodes. The most recent one. But yeah, man, I've got a wife, right? And guess what? I'll tell everybody this. I also like the Hallmark Channel. Really good, clean, romantic movies. Like, you don't want to see shooting and killing and drug dealing. Just pop that Hallmark Channel on, watch a guy swindle a lady off of her feet. You know what I mean? Or mess it up and have to win her back. It's all typical stuff. But listen,
do you watch the Hallmark like Christmas movies? Because there's
yes, Dean. Yes, I do watch the Hallmark Christmas movies. And they start Christmas in July as well, where they kind of do some of the reruns. Like, so if I haven't caught one, I'll typically, DVR it, if you will. I just add it to the library on these days. It's not DVR anymore. I add it to the library, and then I'll, eat me some dinner and watch me a good old Hallmark movie. But yeah, man, I like to watch all sorts of things, including sports. And so yeah, there you have it. When the girls come over, they want to watch Disney Plus. So I get to catch up on all the good Disney Plus movies or TV shows. I did get to watch, and I know I'm hogging the conversation here. I'm letting people into my home, into my personal life briefly. I did watch, there's a show called Crossover. It's a basketball show about 2 brothers. They're twins. Their dad has ended up with like this terminal illness. They're playing basketball. So I did watch that. It's pretty cool. It's only 1 season so far, but I'm sure there's another really good season. Infinite saying Lupin is really good on Netflix. That is really good. I'm not sure if
that is good. That. It's French.
Yeah. Yes, it's French. But listen, some of the greatest subtitles, like if you can watch a movie with subtitles, a show with subtitles, and still get it's overdubbed. Sorry, you're right. It's overdubbed. But still, if you can watch it knowing they're speaking French, That's a good show. Lou Payne, really good show about a guy that's a thief, but you have to go and watch that one yourself.
It's very clever. Clever.
Yeah, for sure. But Dean, I think everything's good. I think we've got the Crunch Time crew in here. Everybody, give it up for Kevin Roth and Taylor Smith.
I had a whole intro planned. I had a whole thing. I didn't run it.
You're gonna have to wait till.
Do you want to do it again?
No,
you can do it again.
I didn't have one. I was scrambling for one, and what I was gonna do is I was gonna drop a random movie quote, and it's relevant because I don't know if you know what movie this is from, Roth. I think you guys will know. I think. Why don't you just go home? That's your home.
Happy Gilmore.
Yeah. Have you seen Happy Gilmore is getting a sequel like 28 years later?
I did. Yeah.
Who's asking for this? You asked for this?
I don't know. Okay. Why not?
I'll watch it, but
you're right. It'll probably suck, but I'll watch it.
Before we continue, I just have to personally thank Kirkdiese live on air. He's the reason I get to go and support my kid tonight. My daughter has a ballet recital, so we had to swap shows. Kirkdiese, brother, I thank you. I thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I just want to say it really, really messed up my whole schedule. So thank you.
You owe him is what is that what we're saying here?
Anytime, Chief. Anytime, Chief. That's what we're all here. Yeah. That's the best thing about RG. There's always somebody.
The next time you need a favor, you come to me. You got you.
I hope your first child's a masculine child.
Yeah, you babysit? Do you babysit, Chief? You want to come babysit?
I'm babysitting my nephews tomorrow, actually. As funny as that sounds. My wife and I, so we're both babysitting. But yeah, and we had my niece last weekend. How crazy is that?
He's booked up, Kirkwood. That's what I'm hearing. He's not available for you.
Yeah, I'm just hearing a bunch of no's. That's what I'm hearing.
What about Bobby? Is Bobby available? Bobby Gomes?
He's been quiet. He's in the newborn stage, so he's probably like freaking out, because the thing's crying all night or whatever.
That thing. The child?
the child. It's a girl, right? Sorry, I wasn't thinking. I forgot the name too. I knew the name.
Lauren Hill.
We got to get Will out of here. He's got to go to the ballet. He's got to make his lineup. Before we do so, Will, give the people your Feel It and the Plums play. Who do you got for the people?
Kind of obvious. Give me Wemby. Unobvious. Give me Cade Cunningham.
All right, that was Will. This is Crunch Time, starring you got Taylor, you got Kirkwood, and Kevin Roth. Roth, take it away.
Good stuff. Welcome to it, ladies and gentlemen. You know the drill. It's Crunch Time. Two of the sharpest minds in the biz, helping to break down the slate. We're going to take your questions, give you cash plays, give you tournament plays, do everything you need to know here within the next 37 minutes before a lock comes up. We got Taylor Smith in the house. What up, Taylor?
Not much. Glad to be back. Nice little slate on Friday night, different slates for different sites again. So should be a good time.
Came really close to calling you Taylor Swift there. I saved myself like right at the last second. Do people, have you heard that before, whether as an insult or as a joke?
All the time.
Yeah.
Probably once a week. Yeah.
Glad I didn't do it. And let's just pretend I didn't even say that part. Let's just pretend that never happened. And we'll just go back to being friends like we were before I said that. Kirkdiese in the house as well. What up, Kirkwood?
We're Smithies. You can call us. We're like instead of the Swifties, the Smithies. Is that not?
Are you are you a Smith?
Smithy?
Yeah. Are you
no. Taylor Cavi Smith.
Like a fan, like a Swiftie.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I get it. Yeah, sorry. Okay,
wasn't a good one.
It's been a long day for me, man. How are you? How are things?
It's been a long day for me over here too. Kid is acting up all day. We got March Madness going crazy. We've got UFC tomorrow. We've got NBA tonight. So I'm in the swing of things. Happy to be here. Let's go.
Yeah, you stepped up to the plate, helping out, Chief. We appreciate that as always. It's like you mentioned, we do that for each other. We make that happen here at RG. So thank you for stepping up. Hey, enough chit chat. We had to listen to Dean talk about Roadhouse for 5 minutes. We got to get some content going here. But I do kind of want to know if it was good, Dean. Let me know.
He didn't say whether it was good or bad?
I don't think he did. He just he tweeted about watching it. He talked about watching it. He's spoken about it, but he never gave me is it good?
I imagine it's horrible, but
yeah, I would think so. I would bet, and I would also bet Dean is probably still watching. Dean, let us know. Hey Taylor, let's talk about this slate, man. What have I missed? What has Kirk missed? What do we need to? I guess he probably hasn't missed anything. He's been paying attention, but I haven't.
I like that. Less for me, more.
Yeah.
Me.
What have we all missed? Let us know what's happened, and then we can dive into a cash build.
Yeah. So, like I mentioned, the slates are different on the sites. DraftKings has 8 games in the 3 late games. FanDuel's just 5 with every game starting between 7 and 8. Got some Boston news a little while ago. Tatum and Horford are out. Everybody else is in. Drew Holiday also out. Let's see. We got Minnesota. Some Minnesota news. Anthony Edwards is in. Naz Reid is in. Gobert is still questionable. Bunch of Raptor stuff. Gary Trent and Quickly and Barrett. All those guys are out again tonight. Going to be a lot of value in the early games. We're waiting on Memphis has some stuff, like always. DeAndre Ayton's questionable too. Got a midday downgrade. Tobias also in a late game, questionable. So DK is quite a bit different from FanDuel. But yeah, should be pretty straightforward on FanDuel, I would think.
Okay, very nice. By the way, Dean has not watched Roadhouse. I don't know how. He tweeted about it. He talked about it. I don't know. I guess I'm not paying enough attention. That's my bad, Dean. The reviews, by the way, from the chat, not great. About a 2 out of 5 on average from the reviews in the chat. Hey, Taylor, let's just go ahead and dive into a build on FanDuel. You said it's different over there than DK, but let's start with what we got. You mentioned some early value, so let's dive into it.
Sounds good. So yeah, the first 2 games, Boston, Detroit, OKC, Toronto. These are going to dominate your builds, I assume. Like I said, Boston doesn't have Drew. They don't have Tatum or Horford. So we're expecting Pritchard to start again. He's 4-9. They're playing the Pistons. Good matchup. He's just still too cheap on both sides, especially FanDuel. Pretty easy cash play over there. Derek White, point guard, shooting guard, 7,900. He's kind of priced up, but he typically gets pretty good usage bumps in these situations with guys missing from the lineup. And they're playing Detroit. So he looks like a cash staple as well. A few more point guards you can play. Jamias Ramsey, kind of a Raptors G League type guy who's been playing lately. He's cheap. He's 4K flat, 22 minutes in the last game. Think he's cash viable. Toronto's a huge underdog against OKC, so perhaps a guy like that gets some garbage time run in that game. Scottie Pippen, another kind of value guy for Memphis. Like I said, they have a bunch of questionable guys. And I kind of froze up here. So I'm going to need a minute to reboot it. If you can potentially stall for a second.
Sure. Hey, Kirkwood, you want to watch Roadhouse?
I can step in here. But I'm going to watch it. Conor McGregor, but I'm not. I don't have the expectations here.
Wait, Conor McGregor's in it?
I think so.
Oh, all right. I didn't know that. All right. Do we buy you time, Taylor? Is that all you needed?
Okay. I think I'm good.
All right.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Back to it.
Yeah, Scottie Pippen's questionable. If he's in, the Grizzlies are thin on guards. They're playing San Antonio, so good matchup. I think he's a fine value for cash. If you have money, SGA looks great against Toronto. Blowout potential, but kind of a little hometown narrative there for him on the road against Toronto. Shooting guard, I mentioned White. Jaylen Brown, naturally with Tatum out, is going to get a big usage boost. Devin Vassell looks like a decent spend too. I think I slightly prefer Brown, but no matter with Vassell either, he's a fine kind of upper mid-range value. Grady Dick, is there a screaming child in the background there?
Could have been either of our homes. Who knows? Yeah.
Nice.
No comment. No
yes.
comment.
Grady Dick's shooting guard only, but the minute should be there for him. 4-6, like I said, Toronto really shorthanded. Minute should be pretty safe for him. Even in a blowout, I think that's okay. Small forward, Bruce Brown and Sam Hauser are the guys you're looking to the most, both small forward only. You probably just pair them. They're popping into most lineups. Brown for 5-4, Hauser at 4-4. Jimmy Butler, didn't mention him yet, but the game against the Pelicans has a pretty low total, but it does have a tight spread. I think he's kind of an okay mid-range play. Trey Murphy might be more in play on DK, but still viable on FanDuel if you land there. Shifting to power forward, Wemby we have here at 11-3. Playing Memphis, shorthanded Memphis team, as always. He's priced up, but the power forward eligibility makes him easier to get to on FanDuel. I think he's a very good spend in all formats. Porzingis is okay. Zion with Brandon Ingram out is going to get a usage boost. Even against Miami, I think the minute should be pretty secure. 9-2, not great, but again, usage boost there. Mentioned Butler, Niang potentially. Looks like a pay-up position. I think Wemby and Porzingis or Zion is probably where you want to go. And at center, Holmgren, 8-3 on FanDuel. More expensive than he is on DK, but good matchup. Toronto's not stopping anybody, certainly not Biggs, so I think he looks pretty good. And Wemby, of course, you can play at center too. Porzingis, Jaren Jackson. Looks like power forward and center pay-up positions for sure.
Okay. Very good. Well, let's kick it to some tournament takes. Kirkwood, what's your game plan here?
Well, there's a lot of value. The one question you need to ask yourself is how comfortable are you with this Toronto value? I'm fine with it. They have nobody. It's these guys are priced cheap. They're going to play a ton. They're probably going to get blown out, 17-point spread, but chasing blowouts is tough too. And these guys they're so cheap, they can get there anyway. So my favorite is like Jordan Nwora out of the bunch, maybe Bruce Brown for the guys. They're both relatively cheap. Nwora is Marcy. Brown is 5,900, but he's going to have a huge role. This slate really comes down to me, it's like you're playing Wemby. Like this is the absolute best matchup for Wemby. When do you get those massive Wemby games? When you get steals and blocks, right?
Yeah.
Well, Memphis is 29th in opponent blocks per game, so they're second to last, and they're 24th in opponent steals per game. They have no one that can really slow them down. They're gonna, if they put Jaren Jackson on him, and I'm not even sure they will, because I think that they're just like asking for him to foul out. That's a huge issue. So Jaren Jackson is a good play and going to be popular, but keep in mind that there's definitely a lot of fouling out risk tonight, more so than usual. But that game is close. It should be, it's their two bad defensive teams. We know who the scores are on each of the teams. So yeah, I like that game. And then it's going to be like, who do you pair with him? And so, Jaren Jackson is one, because you can fit like two studs, but I think you got to go Jaylen Brown tonight. And that might be my Celtics homerism, but I think he can do, even if, first of all, the Celtics like to play down to competition at sometimes when they don't take it seriously, but he can do in 3 quarters what you need against Detroit in this situation. You get some massive usage bump without Tatum. They're also missing Holiday. So I like him. I also like Pritchard. I like White, but like for tournaments, Jaylen Brown is the guy to me. Okay.
You feel okay going position by position for me and hitting some of your favorites at each spot?
Sure. All right. At the point guard, I like Peyton Pritchard. It's a little tricky. Everyone's used to this Peyton Pritchard blowout garbage time.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a little more risk tonight with that. They have a couple of G Leaguers up tonight. They got 2 other guards that they can go to. So it's not, I wouldn't count on that late into the fourth quarter. I think he'll get his normal rotation run in the fourth quarter, but I don't think he'll stick around the whole game, but he might. Depends how the game plays out. I like Devin Vassell a lot. I like Karis LeVert a lot. This is for DraftKings. I also think I think you can play Steph Curry in this game. No one's gonna really go there. He'll get some ownership, but not much at all. And I think the fast pace of the Pacers really suits him well. So I think this is a really good spot for him. And of course, if Scottie Pippen is starting on the Memphis side, that's a guy you definitely want tonight.
Okay. You got more? I'm not going to like badger you for each position.
I mean, I can. Oh, you want me to go to the next position?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, let's do it.
Shooting guard, Jaylen Brown's my favorite. We had Derek White. You can play shooting guard eligible there too as well. I don't know how many people are going to play Javon Freeman Liberty. he's busted in scenarios, he might have to play. It's a really fragile
He's
scenario.
starting now.
He is starting.
We just got
So, yeah. Then I think that he's burned so many people that they still will want to try not to click on him. So I think he's fine. He's a good play. He's a scorer, whether people know it or not. He lit up the summer league in summer league. So I'm good with him. I like him tonight. Anthony Edwards is in play as a top stud. Anthony Simons is he's probable, but Portland's been a little finicky with some of their injury stuff, and Ayton, and this isn't for FanDuel, this is just for DraftKings. I think it's wise to get some exposure, or to make sure you have room for exposure for some of these late games on the DraftKings site, because this Portland situation could end up being really good. Duop Reith, if Ayton is out, would be like a smash play. And I think there's a really good chance of that, especially they're on a back-to-back too. So I think it's it's pretty good chance that Ayton will sit tonight.
Okay, we did get this from TJ here just a couple minutes ago here. Tillman is starting for the Celtics and not Hauser, and I'm curious if that impacts your game plan here.
You can play him. He can do anything. He's fine. He's good. We've seen what Cornette's done when he gets the chance. I think he's in play. It's tough. It's not as good of a spot with if Porzingis was out too, then they would be giddy up go. But he's definitely playable.
Okay. All right. You want to keep rolling, or are you all?
Yeah. Small forward, Bruce Brown is the chalky guy. If you want to try to beat it, you can go for it. I think some guys that could potentially beat it. Trey Murphy on the Pelicans with Brandon Ingram out is a good play. As I've already said, the spend up for me at either shooting guard or small forward is Jaylen Brown. I think the minutes are the safest for Obagi on Toronto. 4,100, but if you just even look in the last 3 games, 30, 31, 34 minutes. Now he hasn't done much, but we've seen him be okay in the past, so I'm cool playing him. Hauser definitely takes a step down now that he's not starting, so you don't really have to worry about that because you need all the minutes you can get with him. He probably still will put up some, but he needs to hit a bunch of threes, which he's more than capable of doing. Siakam's a good play. LeBron is in play for the late people. And then, you can't forget Jimmy Butler, going to be criminally under-owned tonight.
Okay.
And
power forward?
Priced up. Yep, priced up. Power forward. I like the value of Jordan Orr. I think, he's a capable scorer, and that's what you need. They're going to have not a lot of options for scoring. It's going to be him. It's going to be Kelly O, Bruce Brown. GG Jackson, hit or miss. Going to play a ton of minutes, so I'm cool with it. Jaren Jackson, I'm going to take the fade side and hope for the foul trouble. Jalen Williams, J-Dubs, I would play over him. I like him a lot at 7,100. Kelly O, I like. There's one play. If you need somebody to put in a spot at like the center position, or for Duop, you want to try to play that Portland situation. Jalen Smith, you can pivot to from on the Pacers. He didn't play, but Jackson had the minutes the last game over him, but that was because it was like a homecoming thing, and the coach just let him. They said they just let him run. So they didn't step up over him. So Jalen Smith should have his usual role. It's not the greatest play, but he gives you the ability to then switch over to Duop Reith.
Okay, very nice. Anything else you want to add? If not, we can kick it over to DK with Taylor.
Center, Anthony Davis and Chet or Victor, obviously, Wembanyama. He's only center eligible on DraftKings.
Yeah. Okay, very good. Taylor, let's kick it over to DK. Before we do, we should note we got all kinds of great stuff going on, including the fact that there's never been a better time, literally, to sign up for RotoGrinders Premium. NBA, PGA, NCAA basketball, NHL, MMA, MLB coming up. You can get yourself a 6-month combo subscription, the exclusive price of $469.99, which is a savings of $250 as opposed to buying them individually 6 months in a row. So make sure you are doing that. You can also give combo test run, 3-day pass, $19.99 for those looking to test the waters before you jump on in. Check out the link in our description for more information. It's good stuff. Good things happening. Wow, that's your kid happy? That's a happy scream in the background?
Yeah, well, so he screams like that. He's also, so we have a lot of things going on. He's not talking as much as he should be, and so we have a lot of things. He's also screaming a lot. So we're going through a little phase here. So, but he's not pissed. He's just screaming for either whatever he wants. He's just running and going crazy.
When my oldest was delayed talking, it was just like they would just get louder because they can't explain what they want, so they just freaking yell. So that's fun for those of you who aren't parents yet. It's good times, man. It's good times. Taylor, what do you got for us over on the DK front?
Yeah, so that Freeman Liberty news is impactful. We moved his minutes up, of course. He's going to start. Obviously, there's a lot of uncertainty there. It's his first start, I think. We have him at 27 minutes. We moved Ramsey down to 22. So Freeman Liberty, just play him in cash. I think that's a very easy value now. Pace up spot for the Raptors, even if it is a tough matchup. He should be fairly blowout proof, I would think. Cheap enough to play no matter what. He with Pritchard and White are popping into almost every lineup on DK right now. Pritchard, we did get confirmed news that he is starting. He's 5'1". Derek White's 7'6". Very easy plays in all formats, especially cash on DK. The Tillman thing is not a huge needle mover. Like, he is a good value. It's just an issue with position. He's center only. So on DK in particular, where you have AD, it's going to be hard to get to Xavier Tillman. Chet Holmgren also looks great. So Tillman is playable in cash, and Wemby, of course. So there are a bunch of good center plays in the high end, which makes paying down for Tillman kind of unnecessary. SGA kind of falls by the wayside in cash now with all the other guard value. White, Pritchard, and Freeman Liberty. Shooting guard, I mentioned White and Freeman Liberty. Grady Dick, you're probably playing him at small forward, assuming he starts for the Raptors. Shooting guard, small forward eligible. Ditto for Trey Murphy against Miami. Not a good matchup, but the minute should be there for him. I think that really does it. Jaylen Brown. Obviously, I would love to play Jaylen Brown, but kind of falls by the wayside in cash too. Awesome tournament play, though. Ditto for Devin Vassell. Small forward, Bruce Brown, fine. Jordan Nwora. Looks good as a punt, even if he comes off the bench, which he is. He should be pretty safe from a minute standpoint. Still super cheap at 4.2. Don't mind that. GG Jackson, both forward spots eligible. Minute should be safe for him. On DK, power forward, Nwora. AD, you can play at power forward, which is handy. Jalen Williams, we mentioned before, really good value in the Toronto OKC game. Don't mind Zion either. Usage should be there with Ingram out. Guys like Siakam and Olynyk are probably more of a tournament options on this slate. And a center, like I mentioned, AD and Holmgren, kind of the way to go. Jonte Porter, maybe if you need a cheapie, but I might prefer the extra savings on Tillman at this point. And Wemby, of course, paying up for him is quite appealing. AD and Holmgren is probably the optimal pairing, though, I would say.
Okay. Kirk, anything you're doing different here on DK? We mentioned there's a different set of games, but outside of those,
yeah, it's just planning for the Portland. I think that's going to be a really good spot. I think Duop Reith is going to be a key to this slate. So, I think.
And can you walk me through you mentioned it briefly? Could you walk me through the Duop Reith shenanigans here and what the plan is?
Yeah, so he is 3,500. And he's center, and he's playing the Clippers. Soft matchup against Zubac. And, this is a guy who's been scoring 36, 35 fantasy points. And he can do a lot of stuff. He can shoot the three. He rebound blocks. And then in order to do that, one way you can make that possible, because you have the Pacers game going off at the same time at 10 o'clock. So if you want to plan for it by putting Jalen Smith, who's a mediocre play at the moment, for it's someone that he's not going to kill you. Mm-hmm. If it doesn't go your way, at least you have a backup plan. But if it could really end up paying dividends if because everyone's going to already not everyone's going to plan for this stuff as we see with these late games right
And
now.
who is it that we need out to play Do Up Wreath?
DeAndre Ayton,
Ayton,
the
okay.
center. Yep.
Thank you. Okay.
And he's questionable. He got a downgrade today too.
Okay. Nice. Anything else you want to add? If not, we have about 14 minutes, plenty of time for some questions.
Just all the Wemby you can date.
Yeah.
Just get
all of it. Just
all of it.
Yeah. That's all you got to do. Of course, last time I said that, he only had like 35 fantasy points, but generally just all the Wemby you can do. All right, let's dive into some QQs. Going to start in the RG Discord because that is where the cool kids hang out. And I will begin here with the question from Sean, who says, Kirkwood, can I play Brissett as a value piece?
Yes, it's very thin, but you can. But you're, I'm not excited to play him. Let's just put it that way. I'd rather, but you can play him.
Okay. Carolina guy, FanDuel GPP. Your favorite value, Kirk, in a FanDuel GPP?
Oh boy. Let's see here. I think Jordan Nwora.
Okay. Let's see what else we got. A few questions, quite a few coming in on the YouTube side of things here. Okay, FanDuel Cash Taylor. You want Kellyo or Jay McDaniels?
Aren't they in way different price tiers? Am I off on that?
Are there multiple?
Oh, Jay. Yeah, I don't know.
That's
They're
like.
I mean, there's two McDaniels. They're twins. They're both on the slate. Both are cheap. So, Olenek, I guess.
Okay. Let's see. Darren says FanDuel Cash Taylor. Bruce. Let's see. Bruce Brown, Tillman, and Zion. This question. Oh, okay. All right. Sorry. Bruce Brown, Tillman, Zion, or Agbaji, Gigi Jackson, and Porzingis.
First one sounds better.
Okay. FanDuel GPP. Kirkwood, Keldon Big Body Johnson, or Kyle Slow-Mo Anderson.
That's. I think you got to go slow-mo.
Okay. Is Metu in play? Shane asks. Either of you have any Metu?
Not even certain what team he's on, honestly, at this point. So no.
Detroit. He's on Detroit. It's a tough matchup against Boston. He's not starting, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. It's really thin. I think.
All right. The question. He said he apologized. The Kellyo or McDaniels thing. He messed that up. He meant McDaniels or John Conchar FanDuel Cash.
I think Conchar, but he's questionable, so obviously make sure he's playing.
Okay. DKGPP from Naja Boy here. Single entry, Kirk. Small field, Zion or Butler?
Man, I like them both. I think they're both. Those are like my two favorite plays. I'll go with Jimmy Butler. I think he's going to be just too low on this spot, but I really like Zion. I think the exact same thing. He gets a big boost with Ingram out. He does more like point Zion stuff, more handling, and he's been really aggressive lately. So I like both of them.
Okay. Lost a bunch of weight too, right? Isn't he down like 15, 20 pounds or something? I don't think I'm making that up. I saw that somewhere online. It must be true. Eric says, what are your thoughts on Nance on DK? Taylor, you can call it cash or GPP. You can just answer it generally speaking.
Definitely a tournament play. I think at center you have Tillman, you have Jonte Porter as values for cash. Not super into Nance.
Okay. DK GPP, Taylor, I'll come right back to you here. Bruce Brown or Trey Murphy?
I think it's Murphy. Both great plays, but I think Murphy might be a little low owned.
All right, this is a good question here from Billy Kirkwood. If I'm playing two centers on DK, is it worth the risk to fade cheap centers, Wemby, and wait on Reef? That seems a little confusing.
Play Wemby, put a cheap one in there, and to wait on Reef.
Yeah. Okay.
So you're double centering tonight.
Gotcha. All right. Let's see. Got a bunch of questions now in the old Discord here. Another question on Metu and then also Ant. Taylor, where do we land on that one?
I mean, we do have Metu at 22 minutes, and he's cheap, but he projects awfully. So I guess you can do it like Tosan is starting again. I think Tosan is a safer play for 300 more. The other one was Edwards. Right?
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's going to play him, and Cleveland's defense has been really bad since they lost Mobley and Mitchell and other guys to injury. So I think Edwards is a kind of sneaky tournament play.
Nice. Okay. DK GPP. You want Grady D or wait and play Conchar if he is in Kirkwood?
Wait, he's 2 3-point dependent, so he could struggle tonight. So wait and play Conchar if he's in.
Okay. And then a follow-up for you here. It has been said that you are, and I quote, the king of Yahoo from many
Correct.
people. This is, yes,
Correct.
this is often said. I don't know if that's a bit that you say or if people just, if you really are the king.
The king. They crown him.
Yeah, you just legitimately are the king. The question is, any must plays on Yahoo today?
Let me check here. So Yahoo, you get all the games. So you get the FanDuel scoring, but you have all the late games. Wemby is a must play. And then some guys I like also that I think Paul George is a really good play. I think Trey Murphy makes a lot happen. I think, and then I think Jaylen Brown. Those are my musts.
Nice. All right, Taylor. This is a minutes question for you. How many minutes does Taylor and Ice have projected for Jaime Jaquez Jr.?
We have him at 30.
30 minutes. Okay. Very nice. FanDuel cash question right back to you, Taylor. Trey Murphy, Metu, and Holmgren, or Nawara, Triple J, and Tillman?
I think it's the second one just because I'm not super into Metu.
All right. Let's go to Steve O's question here. Are we spooked to play Naz Reid if Gobert is out? I feel like anytime Gobert is out, we're always like, oh, you got to play Naz Reid. Why would we be spooked in this instance?
Well, he had a head injury. He's not in concussion. Wasn't actually concussion protocol, but he buried me. I was big on Naz when he just didn't come out at halftime for a game, and he hasn't played since. So the injury may be a little scary. Might not.
Jalen Durden just got ruled out for some reason. Sorry.
That seems noteworthy.
Wiseman starting.
There you go. So you probably should. I mean, he stinks though. But
who's starting for him?
Wiseman.
James Wiseman.
What's his price?
4.2 on DK and 5.5 on FanDuel.
But I mean, at 4.2, how much run is this guy going to get? Is he going to get like as many minutes as he can handle, like 36 minutes?
They're down beef stew already too. They just have no bigs whatsoever.
I guess it makes Metu look a little better too.
Yeah,
off the bench.
It definitely does.
I think Wiseman's cash viable, especially on DK. FanDuel is a little expensive though, but it is a shorter slate. So yeah, he's a good per minute guy, even if he sucks.
Metu might even start now.
Wiseman's starting.
Sorry.
Yeah, we got that for sure.
But it's going to up his minutes. People are already liking him.
Yeah. Well, I guess you can play him now.
Okay. Can you play?
They have
both
no other
Wiseman?
bigs.
Is this like a one or the other, or they're both dirt cheap, so you can play Wiseman and Metu? Is that only a cash thing? Is that only a tournament thing?
Metu's actually a forward though too, so they could theoretically play overlap.
Yeah,
and they're both cheap, so I would be fine playing both, but I don't think you need to.
Okay. Taylor, anything you want to add, or that about sums that up?
Yeah, I think you can play them together, like he said, just because you can play Metu a power forward. But yeah, they're both going to be certainly in play now.
Okay, great. We'll go to Fluff. FanDuel single entry, Taylor. Grady private parts or Nawara?
I think Wara sounds a little better. Dick just has a really low floor, so Not that they both don't, but I think War is a little better.
Yeah. All right. We're about 4 minutes here until lock. We got a DK GPP question, Kirkwood, from MR. He says, Braun and Tillman or Curry and TJD?
Taylor Jackson. Whatever, Golden State guy. I would go the second option.
Okay. Great.
I really like Curry tonight.
Okay. And then a follow-up question for you here. Thoughts on playing Herb Jones and Trey Murphy together?
They're two guys but don't have a ton of upside, and they definitely do affect each other a little bit. But yeah, why not? I'm not excited. Like, yeah, on this slate, sure, but like not in cash.
Yeah. Okay. Roth, can you ask Taylor how many minutes we're giving to Dejan Giroux? Is there a French dude randomly out there that I don't know about?
Grizzly. Yeah, we have him at 17, but
so what if one or both of Conchar and Laravia are out?
Yeah, I think Pippen's also questionable, so he could wind up with quite a few minutes. Ditto for Jordan Goodwin too. He's cheap.
Okay, so worth monitoring there in the injury situation. Maybe crank up the exposure a bit in GPPs if we got some guys out.
No doubt.
Okay. What else do we got? DK, GPP, Kirkwood, GG, or Kuminga?
Go GG.
Follow-up question from D-Rock as well. Porter, Wiseman, or Metu? DK, GPP.
Porter, Wiseman, or Metu. I mean, I would go Wiseman.
Okay, great. Oh boy, this is my weakness, Kirkwood. FanDuel GPP, any interest in Marcus Sasser?
I don't think so.
Good for you.
What he wait, is he he's no, he's not with Cade back, not starting. I get it though. Tough matchup at Boston. No, I don't. He was in a great spot too already and didn't do much. You know what? I kind of like. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, no, I'm not excited about him.
Okay. All right. FanDuel single entry, Taylor. I'll give this one to you. Troy Brown and Zion, or Nwora and Kristaps Porzingis? FanDuel.
Troy Brown, Zion. Sounds better.
Okay. Great. Jumping back into the YouTube. By the way, if you haven't hit the thumbs up, it's really easy. You just move your mouse to the thumbs up, and then you hit the click button. And then you don't have to pay. It's just free. And all you did was hit like. It's very easy. Highly recommend you do it. What do we got here? Sohan or Trey Jones, Taylor?
Thinking Sohan, but neither sounds that awesome, honestly.
Okay. Jim Thomas says, any interest in Patty Mills, Taylor? I assume this is more of a GPP. No. Straight up. No. Straight up, nah. Eric Johnson says, what is Allen's ownership on DK?
1%.
Yeah, extremely low.
Go F just says French lick. It wasn't even a question. You just said French lick. That's where Larry Bird is from, right?
Larry, yeah.
Larry Legend, the hick from
Larry
French lick.
Legend.
Yeah. My stepdad was from Indiana, so we had the posters, a whole deal. What else do we got? Carson Wallace, or as Roth called him, the French guy. Who would you rather have? Kirkwood, would you rather have Wallace or Dejan Giroux?
I don't even know how to look him up. What's Dejan?
His last name is spelled J-A-R.
Okay, there he is. There he is. We're going Wallace, hoping for the blowout.
Okay, very nice. And by the way, he might not be French. I might just be I tend to just randomly make guys French when they're not, so no idea how that's actually pronounced. What do we got here? Is Dort a play for FanDuel Cash, Taylor? We got less than a minute until lock.
No, I don't think so.
DK, GPP, Kirkwood, Curry, or Harden?
Curry.
What else do we have? Less than a minute. Cade Cunningham or a White FanDuel Cash, Taylor?
I think that's White.
Yeah, I think so as well. And hey, with that, guess what we did, ladies and gentlemen? We did it. We made it to the lock. We did all the things. I think we should bounce on out of here. We got kids to feed and basketball to watch. So for Kirkwood, for Taylor, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes, guys, we appreciate you. We love it, and we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crunk.